You've probably heard it all before. Meat is bad. Go plant-based. Cut red meat to save your heart. But here's what nobody told you, because after age 60, can either. It's not about eating meat. It's about eating the right kind of meat. One decision on your dinner plate slow down the aging in your bones, muscles, and brain, or silently speed it up. Let me ask you this. Do you ever feel more sluggish after lunch? Struggle with brain fog or stiff joints that seem to show up out of nowhere? You might think it's just aging, but what if I told you the type of meat you're eating or avoiding could be playing a much bigger role than you realize? Today, you're going to discover 4 meats you absolutely should eat after 60, and 4 you might want to stay far away from. Not because they're trendy, not because some influencer said so, but because the latest research from Harvard, the Journal of Gerontology, and nutrition scientists around the world now paints a clear picture. And stick around, because the most powerful meat on our list, it shocked researchers so much they ran the study 3 times just to be sure. Oh, and if you've had bacon or deli turkey in the past week, you'll want to stay with me until the end. Let's dive in. Let's start with a meat that's often misunderstood, almost always underrated: turkey breast. Now, for a lot of folks, turkey only shows up once a year, maybe twice on Thanksgiving, or left over in a cold sandwich. But for people over 60, especially those who want to protect their strength, energy, and clarity, turkey breast deserves a regular place on your plate. Here's why. As we age, one of the biggest threats to independence is muscle loss. It creeps up quietly. One day you're carrying groceries with ease. A few years later, you're catching your breath walking up the stairs. That's not just about aging. It's called sarcopenia, and it's directly linked to how much quality protein you're getting. A study published in Nutrients in 2021 found that seniors who ate lean poultry at least 3 times a week reduced their age-related muscle loss by 42%. Think about that. No fancy pills, no protein shakes, just consistent, high-quality lean meat, like turkey breast. Now here's what makes turkey so special. In just a 100-gram serving, you're getting nearly 30 grams of protein and hardly any saturated fat. That's a win-win for your muscles and your heart. But it doesn't stop there. Turkey breast is packed with B vitamins, especially B6 and niacin, which help keep your energy levels steady and support brain function. And then there's tryptophan, the amino acid that not only helps with sleep, but also supports your mood by boosting serotonin. And let's be honest, mental wellness matters just as much as physical health, especially as we grow older. But not all turkey is created equal. Deli turkey slices? Skip them. They're often loaded with sodium and preservatives that can spike your blood pressure and trigger inflammation. What you want is fresh, skinless turkey breast, ideally roasted or grilled at home. Here's a tip. Brush it with a little olive oil, season with garlic, rosemary, or thyme, and roast it at 375 degrees until tender. Then slice it up and use it in salads, wraps, stir-fries, whatever works for you. One more thing. Skip the frying. High-heat frying creates harmful compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGES, which can damage your tissues and accelerate aging from the inside out. That's something no one needs, especially not after 60. So instead of thinking of turkey as a once-a-year leftover, start thinking of it as your weekly ally. It's lean, powerful, and easy to prep in bulk for the week ahead. Because staying strong isn't just about lifting weights. It's about feeding your body the kind of fuel that supports muscle, brain, and mood all at once. And up next, we've got a fish that might just be the most powerful brain food you're not eating enough of. If turkey is the unsung hero of muscle health, then wild-caught salmon is the quiet protector of your brain. After 60, it's not just about moving well, it's about thinking clearly, staying sharp, and keeping your mood steady. That's where salmon comes in. But not just any salmon. We're talking about wild-caught, not farm-raised. And I'll explain why that difference matters more than you think. First, let's talk about your brain. Did you know that about 60% of your brain is made of fat? And one of the most important types of fat it needs is omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA and EPA. These are the building blocks that help your brain cells communicate, reduce inflammation, and stay flexible as you age. A major study from the University of Pittsburgh followed over 2,000 seniors for 8 years. The results? Those who ate wild salmon twice a week had a 30% lower rate of cognitive decline and a 40% drop in depression. That's powerful. And here's what makes wild salmon even more valuable. It contains up to 70% less inflammatory omega-6 fats compared to its farmed counterpart. It also delivers about 1,500 milligrams of omega-3s per serving, while farm versions average around 900, and with more total fat overall. Now, farmed salmon isn't bad. It's still better than skipping salmon entirely. But wild salmon swims upstream, eats its natural diet of small fish and krill, and builds lean muscle, not fat. That diet is what gives wild salmon its signature vibrant pink color and its superior nutrient profile. Here's another win. Salmon is incredibly digestible. The protein in salmon is what nutritionists call highly bioavailable, which means your body can absorb and use it efficiently to preserve muscle and repair tissue. And that matters more than ever because after 60, the average adult loses between 3 to 8% of muscle per decade. A single salmon fillet, about the size of your palm, packs in over 22 grams of complete protein. But there's more. Salmon is also rich in vitamin D, which supports bone health, and selenium, an antioxidant that helps protect your cells from damage. That's critical in slowing the aging process at the cellular level. Now, how should you prepare it? Simple. Season with lemon, garlic, a sprinkle of herbs. Bake at 400 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes, or grill it lightly. Avoid frying. It adds unhealthy fats and can destroy those precious omega-3s. If fresh, wild-caught salmon is hard to find, look for canned wild salmon with no added salt. It's affordable, shelf-stable, and still loaded with benefits. Bottom line, 2 servings a week of wild salmon isn't just about eating healthy. It's about preserving who you are, one meal at a time. And coming up next is a red meat that's gotten a bad rap for decades. But if you choose the right kind, it might just be your greatest ally in staying strong and energized. Now let's talk about beef, the kind of meat that's been blamed, banned, and misunderstood for years. If you're over 60, chances are you've been told at least once, cut back on red meat. It's bad for your heart. It raises your cholesterol. And while that's true for some types of beef, there's one version that tells a completely different story, and it's called grass-fed beef. What makes grass-fed different isn't just where the cow lived. It's what it ate and how that changes the meat that ends up on your plate. Unlike conventional beef from cows raised on corn, soy, and growth hormones, grass-fed cows graze freely on natural pasture. They eat what nature intended, and that one change dramatically alters the nutrient profile of their meat. A review published in Nutrition Journal found that grass-fed beef contains 5 times more omega-3 fatty acids than grain-fed beef, 2 times more conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, a healthy fat that may support metabolism and reduce inflammation, higher levels of vitamin E, beta-carotene, and antioxidants. That's not just better beef, that's functional food, especially if you're trying to maintain energy, build strength, or recover faster as you age. In fact, a study from California State University found that participants who switched to grass-fed beef for just 4 weeks experienced a 25% drop in inflammation markers and a 300% improvement in their omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. That's the kind of change that shows up in your joints, your focus, even your sleep. Now let's talk about protein quality. Grass-fed beef is a complete protein source, rich in all 9 essential amino acids, and it naturally contains creatine, which supports muscle performance and brain health. That's especially important if you're trying to stay active without overtraining. What about iron? As we get older, iron deficiency becomes more common, and it often flies under the radar, causing fatigue, weakness, and brain fog. Beef is one of the best sources of heme iron, which your body absorbs 10 times more efficiently than iron from plant foods. Just 1 serving of grass-fed beef delivers about 15% of your daily iron needs, in a form your body knows how to use. And here's something else you may not know. After 60, up to 40% of adults struggle with B12 absorption because stomach acid production naturally declines. Grass-fed beef contains highly bioavailable B12, helping you maintain mental clarity, memory, and nerve function. So what's the best way to cook it? Medium rare or medium? Cooking beef to well done can destroy up to 40% of its B vitamins and increase the production of harmful compounds. A gentle sear and a warm, pink center is not only tastier, it's smarter. So if you've avoided red meat out of fear, it might be time to rethink your relationship with beef. Because the problem isn't the color, it's the quality. Coming up next, we'll explore a category of meat that predates grocery stores and might just be the secret weapon your ancestors relied on to live strong, long lives. Before there were grocery stores, before factory farms, even before nutrition labels, there was wild game, venison, elk, bison, wild boar. These aren't just meats, they're a window into how our bodies were meant to eat. For thousands of years, our ancestors thrived on wild animals. These creatures lived on clean, untouched land. They grazed on native grasses and herbs. They moved freely. And because of that, the meat they provide is fundamentally different from what most of us find in a shrink-wrapped package today. Let's start with the basics, nutrition. Wild game meat is naturally high in protein, low in total fat, virtually free of inflammatory omega-6 fats, and rich in omega-3s, the same kind found in salmon and walnuts. Take venison, for example. A single serving packs about 26 grams of protein with just 3 grams of fat. That's an ideal protein-to-calorie ratio for seniors who want to maintain lean muscle without overloading on calories. But wild game offers something even more intriguing. Carnosine. Carnosine is an amino acid that helps protect your tissues from something called glycation, a damaging process that stiffens your skin, joints, and even your arteries as you age. Emerging research shows that higher levels of carnosine may lower the risk of cataracts and help preserve skin elasticity. Translation: better vision, smoother movement, healthier aging, and the science doesn't stop there. A Harvard-led cohort study tracked 5,000 older adults over 15 years. Those who ate wild game twice a week scored 45% higher on cognitive tests and had larger hippocampal volume. That's the part of your brain responsible for memory. Even more fascinating, their telomeres, the protective caps on chromosomes, were significantly longer, suggesting a biological age up to 15 years younger. Now let's be honest, not everyone hunts, and depending on where you live, wild game might not be available at your local store. But don't worry, frozen wild game is now sold online by reputable suppliers. Many offer USDA-inspected cuts shipped straight to your door. Start with venison. It has a mild, slightly sweet flavor and cooks beautifully when prepared low and slow. Here's a simple method. Season with rosemary, garlic, and olive oil. Sear briefly, then roast at a low temperature until tender. Avoid high heat cooking. It's not just about flavor, it's about preserving those delicate, age-fighting nutrients. And if wild game still feels intimidating, try this. Mix ground venison with lean ground turkey for your next meatloaf or burger night. It's familiar, affordable, and gives you the best of both worlds. In the end, wild game is more than a meat. It's clean, ancient nutrition, free of antibiotics, growth hormones, or synthetic feeds. It speaks the same biological language your body was designed for. Coming up, we'll tie these 4 powerhouse meats together with a simple step-by-step plan you can follow to start seeing results in just 4 weeks, without overhauling your entire lifestyle. Let's face it, changing how you eat can feel overwhelming. That's why we've put together a simple, no-stress plan called the 4-week meat reset. It's not about cutting out everything you love. It's about swapping smart, one step at a time. Week 1. Replace 1 deli meat sandwich with fresh roasted turkey breast. Cook it once, use it all week. Your joints and blood pressure will thank you. Week 2. Add wild-caught salmon to dinner twice. Can't find fresh? No problem. Look for canned wild salmon with no salt added. Try it in a salad, sandwich, or stir-fry. Week 3. Swap 1 beef dinner with grass-fed beef. Look for 100% grass-fed on the label. Choose lean cuts like sirloin or ground chuck. Cook medium rare to lock in the nutrients. Week 4. Try something new, wild game. Order frozen venison online or check your local butcher, or mix a little into your regular ground turkey. Keep it simple and season well. You don't need to be perfect, just intentional. These tiny shifts can lead to better energy, clearer thinking, less inflammation, and a stronger, steadier body you can count on. And coming up next, we'll look at the 4 meats you may want to limit or even eliminate if your goal is to feel younger, move better, and age with less pain. Let's start with one of the most common meats in America's refrigerators, deli meats. They're convenient, they're tasty, and for many older adults, they've been a lunchtime staple for decades. But here's the hard truth. Processed deli meats can silently work against your health, especially after 60. We're talking about sliced ham, turkey breast, salami, bologna, and those plastic-wrapped cold cuts from the supermarket. They're not just meat, they're a chemical cocktail. Most deli meats are treated with sodium nitrite and nitrate, preservatives that keep the meat pink and help it last longer on the shelf. But when these chemicals mix with your stomach acid, they form nitrosamines, compounds classified as Group 1 carcinogens by the World Health Organization, the same group as cigarettes and asbestos. One European study following over 450,000 people found that eating just 2 ounces of processed meat per day increases your risk of colorectal cancer by 18%. But for older adults with more vulnerable digestion, that risk climbs even higher. Then there's the sodium. One small serving of deli turkey can contain up to 1,200 milligrams of salt, half your daily limit in just a few slices. Too much sodium raises blood pressure, damages arteries, and fuels chronic inflammation throughout your body. And inflammation doesn't just hurt your joints, it accelerates aging from the inside out. That means more brain fog, less energy, and higher risk of heart failure. Now, if you're listening and thinking, but I love my turkey sandwich, you're not alone. In fact, one of our viewers shared a powerful story. My mom used to love deli meats. Ham and turkey were her go-to, but her blood pressure kept rising and her knees hurt all the time. Her doctor told us to cut the processed meat. We switched to fresh roasted chicken with herbs. Within a few weeks, her energy came back and she moved easier. That's not a miracle. That's just real food working the way it's supposed to. So what can you do? Cook a whole chicken or turkey breast at the start of the week. Slice it yourself. Add herbs like rosemary, thyme, or paprika for flavor. Store it in the fridge and use it in sandwiches, salads, and wraps. It might take a few days for your taste buds to adjust, but your blood pressure, joints, and brain, they'll notice the difference faster than you think. Next up, we're diving into 2 of the most beloved breakfast meats in America, bacon and sausage, and why they might be aging your body faster than the calendar ever could. Let's talk about something we all recognize from the breakfast table, bacon and sausage. The smell, irresistible. The taste, comforting. The memories, Sunday mornings, family brunches, maybe even a few too many at the diner down the street. But what if I told you that these comfort foods may be quietly speeding up the aging process in your body, especially after 60? Here's what you need to know. Bacon and most breakfast sausages aren't just meat. They're processed meats taken to the extreme, often packed with nitrites, preservatives, added sugars, and high levels of oxidized fat. The World Health Organization classifies processed meats like bacon as Group 1 carcinogens, the same category as asbestos in cigarettes. And this isn't just theoretical. A Harvard study tracking over 120,000 people for 3 decades found that eating bacon or sausage just twice a week increased the risk of pancreatic cancer by 67% and colorectal cancer by 21%. But cancer isn't the only concern. When bacon and sausage are cooked at high temperatures, they create compounds called advanced glycation end products, AGEs, molecules that damage collagen, stiffen arteries, cloud the lenses in your eyes, and accelerate skin aging. People who eat bacon regularly have been shown to have 75% higher age levels than those who don't. There's also the fat. While fat isn't inherently bad, the saturated fats in bacon and sausage are often oxidized during cooking, especially when pan-fried or grilled until crispy. That combination of oxidized fat and sodium is a recipe for chronic inflammation, higher blood pressure, and arterial plaque buildup. So what can you do instead? Try turkey bacon cooked at a lower temperature. It's not perfect, but it's a step in the right direction. Or for something truly nourishing, grill shiitake mushrooms with smoked paprika and a dash of tamari. They offer a savory crunch that satisfies that bacon craving without the baggage. Remember, your taste buds adjust, but your body doesn't forget. Choosing wisely today means waking up tomorrow with more clarity, more movement, and fewer silent risks hanging over your health. Next up, we're heading to the ballpark and looking at a classic American icon that might be doing more harm than good: the hot dog. Ah, the hot dog. It's as American as baseball, cookouts, and July 4th. But behind the nostalgia and the grill marks lies something we need to talk about, especially after 60. Because while hot dogs may look innocent, they're often one of the most processed meats you can buy. Let's break it down. Most hot dogs are made from mechanically separated meat, a smooth paste created by stripping every bit of tissue from leftover bones, including connective tissue, blood vessels, and nerve endings. That paste is then combined with sodium nitrite, corn syrup, salt, and a mix of preservatives to give it the texture, flavor, and pink color we've all grown up with. Sound appetizing? Not exactly. But here's the real concern. When hot dogs are grilled or fried, those nitrites convert into nitrosamines, carcinogenic compounds that damage DNA and increase cancer risk. A study from the University of Southern California found that eating just one hot dog per week raises the risk of colorectal cancer by 21%. And for those over 60, when DNA repair slows and inflammation rises, that risk can double. Then there's the sodium. A single hot dog contains around 500 milligrams of salt, and most people eat two. That's nearly half your daily recommended limit in just a few bites. The fats, mostly saturated, often oxidized, and rarely from high-quality cuts. These damaged fats fuel inflammation, raise blood pressure, and contribute to the kind of arterial aging that leads to stroke or heart disease. Now here's the good news. You don't have to give up the experience. You just have to reinvent it. Try grilling a portobello mushroom cap, season it with garlic, smoked paprika, and olive oil. Slice it into strips and layer it in a whole grain bun with mustard, onions, or even homemade slaw. Or make your own sausages at home using fresh ground turkey blended with herbs, garlic, and just a touch of fennel. You get the flavor, the crunch, the sizzle, but none of the silent damage. Because after 60, eating well isn't about giving things up. It's about reclaiming control, one smart swap at a time. Coming up, we'll look at one final meat that's not tied to a single animal, but to a dangerous pattern that shows up in freezers everywhere. We've talked about deli meats, bacon, sausage, and hot dogs. But there's one more type of meat that's even more widespread and often overlooked. It's not tied to a single animal. It's tied to a process. We're talking about processed ground meat products, frozen burger patties, pre-seasoned meat tubes, meatballs in a bag, even ready-made sauces with meat already mixed in. They're convenient, but convenience can come at a steep cost, especially as we age. Why? Because these products often contain meat from multiple animals, processed together, frozen, thawed, and reprocessed with added preservatives, phosphates, salt, artificial flavors, and color stabilizers. The result? A meat product that barely resembles the nutrition of the original cut. A study from the University of Michigan found that these kinds of processed ground meats contain up to 400% more inflammatory compounds than fresh ground meat. That means more pressure on your joints, more stiffness, more fatigue, and over time, they leave a biological footprint that makes your body age faster at the cellular level. There's also a higher risk of contamination. Because these products mix meat from many animals and go through multiple freeze-thaw cycles, the chance of harmful bacteria increases. Food safety reports show that processed ground meat products carry 5 times the risk of containing pathogens compared to fresh meat. Then there's the salt, often 1,000 milligrams per serving. That's nearly half your daily limit, again, in a single meal. But the real threat is invisibility. You can't see the additives. You don't always taste the salt, And over time, the damage adds up. Tiredness, weight gain, brain fog, trouble sleeping. You don't think it's the burger, but sometimes it is. So what can you do? Buy whole cuts of meat and have your butcher grind them for you. Or invest in a simple home meat grinder. Easy to clean, easy to use, and worth every penny. You get to choose the cut, the fat level, the seasoning, and the freshness. Control over your meat means control over your health. And speaking of control, up next, we'll wrap it all together with a story, a challenge, and a reminder that aging well is not just possible. It's your decision. Let's step back for a moment. You've just learned about 8 meats, 4 that can help you age stronger, and 4 that may be quietly working against you. We're not here to scare you. We're here to remind you of something simple but powerful. You still have control, even after 60, even after the health scares, even after decades of habits, routines, and recipes. Because food isn't just fuel, it's information. Every bite you take sends a message to your body. And with the right meats, turkey breast, wild salmon, grass-fed beef, and wild game, that message becomes stay strong, stay clear, stay you. One of our viewers shared a story about her father, Henry. He was 70, tired all the time, on multiple meds for blood pressure and inflammation. His daughter, a nurse, asked him to cut out deli meats and hot dogs and swap in grilled turkey and wild salmon. 6 months later, his energy returned, his labs improved, and his doctor reduced 2 of his medications. Nothing fancy, just better choices. So let me ask you, which meat surprised you the most today? And what's one small swap you're willing to make this week? Drop your answer in the comments. We read everyone. And if this video gave you something to think about, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Each week, we share practical, science-backed tips to help you move better, feel stronger, and live longer, without the noise or the gimmicks. If you're still here, drop a 1 in the comments to let us know this message landed. If not yet, drop a 0. Either way, we're glad you spent this time with us. Because your body is still listening, let's give it something good to hear.